Hello, welcome to Sun and Star Farm. I am a small 1-acre farm. Technically, most of my stuff is on a half-acre with a vegetable garden behind the house that's probably 100 square feet. But other than that, everything is primarily back here or in my side yard. So, we are going to talk about homesteading. I've officially been doing this for 1 year now, and things I wish people would have told me, or things I wish I would have known, is what was all involved. I kind of jumped in headlong, wanting to learn as I go, and there are some things that I would do different. So I originally started with chicken or poultry. And I've had chickens now for 2 years. I had purchased this little white chicken coop and the silver pin that's covered in tarps that is right there. And that was all I had over here in this side yard besides my flower garden. I loved it. It was easy. The chickens stayed in the pen because I only had, I think, maybe 20 chickens total. So it worked great. Then spring came around and chicken math hit hardcore. I was currently working at a grooming facility that I'd been at for 10 years, making really good money. And I decided that I was going to build my farm, and I had a 5-year plan where I was going to continue working there, making money, and build my farm up so that way when I retired from grooming, I would have the infrastructure, I would have the animals. All I would have to do is earn enough money to pay my normal bills, to feed my animals, and I had planned on doing it from the farm. Reality check. A year later, I purchased all the animals in the spring. Around August, I was let go from my job and did not have that income. It was a mutual separation. Me and the owner didn't get along, and it was causing a lot of issues. And so I left and decided to open up my own business here at home, which it's doing good. It's slow progress of building clientele. So I have income coming in, just not the same amount of income that I have coming in. So things kind of went to a screeching halt for what I had planned. But when I had bought all of my animals in the spring, I kind of went a little bonkers. I got ducks, I got geese, I got guineas, I got turkeys, I got more chickens. And my plan was that I was going to divide out breeds of chicken and breed specific chickens and have pins for each individual breed. I planned on doing the same with the ducks, the geese. The guineas were for security for the farm because I have an issue in the spring with hawks. I was going to do that with the ducks and the geese. Well, Tractor Supply and Steinhauser, I had ordered 3 Buff American geese. They weren't going to be here till June. I wanted a couple of guard geese to run with my chickens. So I got Kanye and Lee. Kanye is a brown African goose, and Lee is a white Chinese goose. Mistake number 1. These guys are great at guarding, but at the same time, they're kind of buttheads. Mistake number 2. I had ordered $250 worth of breeding chickens from Murray McMurray Hatchery. They made it here, had it all set up. Well, along came our little dog lady, a little Jack Russell Terrier that got basically dumped by its owner, and we rescued her. She jumped the baby gate in the master bathroom where I had all of my brand new baby chicks that I'd only had for 3 days, and proceeded to kill every single last one of them. So we lost all of that. Well, I wasn't going to do another big order of chicks because it was later in the year. The chicks wouldn't have come until the fall. A lot of the breeds that I wanted, I wasn't going to be able to get. So I just scratched it and said, okay, I will just go to Tractor Supply and Steinhauser each week, because, you know, they always have different breeds each week that come in, and I will pick and choose. Pick and choose. So I did that. I ended up with Kanye and Lee. I had also ordered 5 of the Welsh Harlequin ducks, which I'll show you those guys. Those are 2 khaki Campbells. That's a blue crested Swedish. Over here are my guineas. So I had ordered 5 of these American Welsh Harlequin ducks. And I was going to breed Welsh Harlequin, and I wasn't going to have any more ducks. Well, then they had these ducks that came in at Tractor Supply, and they were a whole bunch of different breeds, and they were so cute. And my ducks weren't going to come until June. And this was back in March. So I bought a handful of ducks. Stupid girl. I ended up with almost all drakes. Because, you know, when you get anything from Tractor Supply or Steinhauser, more than likely you're going to get more boys than girls. And so I had bought some of the blue Swedish. I bought some of the black Swedish. I got 2 black ducklings that I thought were Cayugas, which they ended up being Cayugas. In the end, with my 5 ducks, I had 18 ducks. And bought 3 khaki Campbells. So out of the khaki Campbells, I ended up with 1 female, 2 males. Out of the Cayugas, miraculously, I ended up with 1 male and 1 female. And then from the Swedish, I think I have 8 of them, only 1 hen. The Peking duck that I got is male. The Rowan duck that I got is female. I think that's all the breeds that I have. I have blue Swedish, black Swedish. Some have crests, some don't. I have the Welsh Harlequins, the Peking, the Rowan, and the khaki Campbells, and the Cayugas. So basically, out of 18 ducks, I have 8 hens, unfortunately. What I didn't know was how destructive ducks are. Ducks do this thing called mining. They're over here doing it right now. Mining is where the ducks will go to a mud hole, or they'll create a mud hole, and they sift through the dirt to look for roots and bugs and minerals and things from the soil. Let me see this guy. I can't zoom in because I got my steady lens on my phone so that it's not so shaky. You see what he's doing through the mud down there. They sift through the mud. Well, then they take their mouthful of mud and they swish it into their water. Now, I just dumped these pools. Stop. That's Lee. He's being a bully because that's what Lee does. So I had just dumped all of these pools and filled them up. See how murky that is? And because they're over here mining, I'm trying to get it so you don't get the reflection. You can see where the mud is on that side of the pool from them. So in a matter of 10 minutes, they will have a clean pool of water turned into the color of chocolate milk. Now, that is one thing I wish somebody would have told me is how, well, one, they're destructive because they dig these big holes. When they poop a very liquidy poop because of the water being part of their need for digesting. And it's basically water. And it's very, very, very high in nitrogen. And their poop and their pool water, because they poop in their pool water along with filling it with mud, it's very high in nitrogen and it kills the grass. You see how my beautiful yard a year ago at this time was nothing but green grass, and you see I do not have a single blade of grass where these animals are. Number two, because of their mining, they not only eat the grass, but once they get it real close to the ground, they pull the roots out so it won't regrow. And now you have bare soil. The geese do the same thing. They're no better. You see him? He's threatening me. But when he threatens me, I just offer him a hug and he freaks out and he runs away. He's scared of affection. But I love you. See, he's like, oh shit. Don't hug me. I don't want a hug. But if I turn my back to him, he'll come up and try to pinch me. Because he's a punk. He's a punk. So, that is one thing I would tell people if you are going to start a homestead. Really, 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 really think about whether or not you want ducks. If you have acres and acres of land where they have plenty of space to free range, where your grass actually has time to rest in between their foraging, or if you're going to keep them in something like this, a pen, where they don't have access to your yard, then by all means do so. Second thing on ducks. Ducks require water to be able to digest their food. They also need it to keep their sinuses clean or it will kill them. They have to have a way to at least submerge their whole beak into water while they're eating and when they clean themselves. All of these water pans are for the pigs and the ducks. I have this many because the ducks muck them up so fast, then the pigs don't get a chance to have clean water. So, you see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 water buckets along the fence. The pigs can actually be fine with one of those black square pans. That's what they originally had. But since the ducks come into this pen because they can get through cattle panel, I had to increase the number of water pans because I want them to at least be able to have clean water in between water changes. The water gets dumped twice a day. Water is the one chore on the farm that takes me the longest to do. It probably takes me close to an hour to do just the water. And I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That bucket over here is the goat's waterer, but the ducks still get into it. So that's number 8. Pools. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And this pools are for the ducks. So 13. The goats have 2. 14, 15. The reason I have 2 pans, the tall bucket is for the goats. The shorter bucket is for the chickens, because the chickens do go into the goat's pen, and I have baby goats in here and I want them to be able to drink, but the chickens drink out of the shorter one. If I leave just the tall bucket in, the chickens climb up there and they occasionally fall into the water bucket and they will drown if they can't get out. So I give them a shorter water bucket so I don't lose anybody. So what are we at? 18? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so we're at 15 with the goats. We gotta go see the goats. Hi, Pan. He's my baby. He's my baby. I love my baby. That's Pan. Oh, is that not the sweetest? Oh, that's Haiti with 2 of her babies. Look at him tuckered out over there in the corner. So sweet. And then down underneath is my little guy that isn't as strong as his brothers, but he's getting better. That is Achilles down there. My poor name, obviously. And then Junie with Pan. Did you see that I got the chickens? They're roosted here. Huh. I know I touched you. Oh my goodness. So we're at 15 water buckets here. Now I try to keep them pulled away from the edges of the fencing as much as I can, because the ducks reach through and they make this water muddy. So 15. And then these 4 girls, that is Brandy in the front. Next to her is Ivy. Behind Ivy, the other gold looking goat that's eating out of the basket behind Ivy is Brandy's mom, Godiva. And then the black goat is Onyx. And no, she's not pregnant. She's just fat because she eats and she is a piggy. So they've got 2. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And we got some pools over here. 20, 21. I have one that's in the corner of this pin here. So that's 22. So 22 water buckets just in the pins for all the poultry to drink. Oof, as I trip. And then right now I have chicks that are out here. They're fully feathered. So they have a water one. So there's that additional water that is here that normally I don't have to deal with, but I do because I have chicks. So I plan on spending time dumping and filling water buckets. If you have ducks will make every water bucket that they can get their face in muddy. So it requires me of dumping them, because I dump my evening water buckets around between 6 and 7. Now that the day hours are getting longer, I'm doing it a little bit later, which will help me in the morning. But so I have all of those. What did I say? 21, 22 water buckets, 23 counting the chicks. And of course, then I have my special needs pin that's up here, which their water bucket is right there. So what did I say? 21, 22, 23 or 24 water buckets. When summer comes, yes, this is just normal weather season. When we start getting the triple digits, my bucket count goes up, because then I have hanging water buckets for the chickens that will go inside the pins that hang from the rafters, just to help keep the water clean and keep debris out of it, so they have clean, cool water. So they have that as well. And I usually have another 5 waterers that I fill. Plus I have these 2 over here, which are not in use right now. Just because they're a pain to fill, they're a pain to clean. They're heavy to lift. I have a 5-gallon and a 3-gallon gravity waterer. But those go inside the chicken pen in the summer because that is a shady area that they can go. The tarps will be lifted on the sides once it starts getting warmer weather. I mean, we're pretty warm right now, but we still have cool nights, so I'm keeping the sides down. But the sides will come up so that they have more airflow in those pens. So, ducks, not only are they destructive and will destroy your yard unless you have a massive area for them to go, or you have only 2 or 3 ducks. I should have only had 2 or 3 ducks on a half acre for how destructive they are. I didn't know. I plain just didn't know. So this is what I've learned. Ducks and geese, super destructive. Not only do they muck up the water for all of the other animals, they create big mining holes. This, let me show you what I'm talking about. They created this last year. And do you see this water pool pond looking thing here? The ducks did that. They mined it down probably a half a foot to a foot in the deep areas. They have also done that out here. And you can see there's a lip to it. When it rains, it fills up, and they've got this great little pond. They created that. The ducks and the geese created that. And then if you look out here, you see all the divots in the ground. That mud puddle there, that divot there, the mud puddle there. The ducks and the geese did that. And because they did that, now I can't get grass to grow unless I put up fencing and block it completely off to keep the birds off. The issue with blocking off areas is chickens can fly. So I can block it off to throw grass seed down. But then you run into the chickens flying over the fence and eating your grass seed. So it requires additional fencing. I'm going to show you over here on the fencing. And this is what I've had to do to keep the poultry out of my flower garden area. This is a garden area. It's got vegetables and flowers. It's like a potager garden. I'm growing vegetables for the animals out here along with flowers. I want to have honeybees here in the future. And this is going to be an apiary area for my honeybees. I also wanted to build a small aviary back here for my call ducks. So those are all things I plan on doing. It all requires money. I don't have a large income coming in to allow me to do everything I want to do super fast. So it's going to have to be done in stages. So cattle panel fencing is a must when you have pigs and goats. Pigs and goats are, well, the pigs and goats push and rub against everything. So if you have any type of wire fencing, when they go through to rub against it to scratch their bodies, because that's what goats do, they bend the wire. So to prevent them from doing that, I went with cattle panel. I want to have this as horse panel. Horse panel is what I have over here in the goat girl pins, the girl pins. This is horse panel. It's the same hard, this stuff is hard, but it's 5 foot tall. The squares are 4 inch by 2 inch. That's how big those squares are. So this prevents your goats from getting out. I've got Nigerian dwarves. They're about 21 inches at the shoulder. They can climb like you wouldn't believe. Goats are amazing. Goats, if they can figure out a way to climb it, they're out. Escape artists. That I had heard before I got my goats. But anyway, so I went with cattle panel because I have pigs, and pigs will destroy fence. I originally, last year, when I first got the goats and the pigs and all of the birds, had this just fenced off with rabbit fencing and deer net just to keep the chickens out. It lasted 5 seconds. The goats trampled through, the pigs trampled through, the ducks climbed on top of it, bended all to hell and gone. So that lasted 5 seconds, Lee. Oh, Lee, I love you, Lee. I love you. He's like, damn it, stop that. No public affection. That's what you get for being a punk. Look. He doesn't think I see him. He's such a brat. So I have the cattle panel fencing. I have rabbit fencing zip tied to the bottom, and that's to keep the chickens and the ducks from coming through the fence because they can fit through the squares. Baby goats can fit through these squares. And what is even more funny, Godiva, who is a full-grown goat, can squeeze herself through that square. I watched her do it the other day to get into the boys' pen, and I was like, well, crap. So I have to reconfigure their pen in order to keep the girls from getting, well, that particular girl from getting in here. I need to get these panels changed out with horse fencing. Problem is that horse fencing panel that's 16 feet long, I would need 3 panels, would be $300. They're $100 a panel. This guy here, Zeffy, can jump through the space in this gate. Watched him do it. Hence why there's a baby gate zip tied to the top of the gate, looking all ghetto instead of, pretty. So, I don't have welding skills. I don't know anybody that has welding skills, or I could get somebody to weld on some wire to keep him from doing it. This works, especially now that they use the pigs to climb on. The pigs and all of them want to know when I'm going to bring out their hay, because I haven't brought their hay out yet. I'm kind of doing back-to-back videos tonight, so I have something to post tomorrow, because I'm not going to have time. So, yes, I know. So, rabbit fencing, cattle panel, and then I have this deer netting to keep the birds from flying over. Stop it. I'm going to hug you. I love you. He's so funny. Anyway, so this stretches up 10 feet. Or probably more like 9 feet. I have the pole zip tied to the T-posts. I have, at the very top, I have a eye hook screwed into the top with a big flat washer at the very top. I just flip the net over the top of it. It holds it up high so it stays up high. Then I zip tie the net to the pole. These are just very large tomato stakes, or garden stakes that I got from Tractor Supply. These are inexpensive things that I've done in order to make this happen. I buy the $24 100-foot folded deer netting versus buying the rolled 100-foot where it's thicker, tougher netting that is like $50. So I buy the cheaper, so my netting's on the inside of the fence instead of the outside, because the goats will mess it up. But so far so good. The only thing that has been able to get over this is one guinea who was way up in the tree, freaked out, flew, and ended up on the wrong side of the fence. So, fencing is very, 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 very important to do your homework before you start a homestead and get animals. I had built both of these sheds. That's right, folks. This girl here built those 2 sheds. I had the boys on one side, the girls on the other. At the time, I only had the 4 girls and the 2 boys. I just recently got Godiva and Brandy to add to the herd. And then, of course, I bred 2 of my girls prior to that, Haiti and Juniper. And Juniper had 1 buckling, and my sweet, sweet Haiti had 3 bucklings. So now I've got 4 baby bucklings that are in this pen with the 2 girls. The boys were being obnoxious as all get out, because you cannot have intact males this close to females when it comes to goats. They were beating each other up bloody raw. So I had to move them. Not only that, male goats, when left intact, stink like skunk. They give off a musk, and then when they're in rut, they pee all over themselves. They pee on their face, they pee on the backs of their legs, and they pee on their beards, and they definitely want to rub it all over you to make you theirs. It is disgusting. They smell horrible. And it's not just something, oh, I just walked up to the goat and it stunk. No, it's like I can smell you all the way across the yard. In the summer, when they're in rut, I can smell them in my backyard on the other side of my property, about an acre away from them. That's how bad they stink. The 2 pigs I originally had next to the goat, the boy goat pen. I had planned on letting them have free run of the property. That was my plan, that they were going to have free run of the property that's fenced in. Nope. Pigs like eggs. Any eggs that the birds lay on the ground, the pigs eat. So I was losing a ton of eggs from the pigs. And pigs do not respect fences that are soft. Like the cattle panel, they'll rub against it to scratch, but they don't blast through it. My chicken wire that is on my chicken coops, they blasted square through it. I mean, we're talking wham bam, hello ma'am. They smashed through it and tore all of the chicken wire off of my coop. So I had no way of locking up my birds at night to keep them safe. Boy, it's getting dark out here. So there we go, like brighten up there. So needless to say, the pigs blew through the chicken wire of my fences, and they were originally in this small little pen here, and it was just supposed to be an area for them to go and eat, and then they had their little lean-to shed to go in to sleep in at night, and they were supposed to have free run. Nope, they blew through the chicken coops too many times, and I was constantly fixing the chicken coops, so they got moved over with the boys, and so now they live with the boys. So far it's working out great, no real big issues, other than my goats like to stand on the pigs when they're laying on the ground, especially when the pigs lay on the ground by the gate. So that is the only issue we're running in there. But fencing is very important. You can't go cheap and easy on fencing, unfortunately. I went with what I could afford, and mine is just cattle panel with chicken wire, or cattle panel with rabbit fencing on the bottom and the deer netting. And that is what I'm doing, and it seems to be working pretty well. And then as far as what else? The turkeys, I absolutely love. They have become my favorite creatures on the farm. I do suggest if you get turkeys to handle them as babies. I have mostly toms. I do not have a single issue with any of my toms being aggressive. They're currently losing their feathers, so their tails look horrible. They're losing their chest feathers. Everybody told me when they started to molt that it looked severe, and they look like crap right now. But you can see my past videos when their tail feathers are looking all pretty and not all bejaggled. God, you look horrible, Bronson. Bronson's usually the prettiest one out here, and he's looking a little shady. Look at that. So, just gotta wait for their feathers to come back in. God, you look bad. I love you though. I do. So the turkeys, I honestly have enjoyed very much having. I would not get the royal pomes again. Yes, they're very pretty to look at, but that is about all that they offer. They don't like to be touched. Like Bronson, I can walk up to Bronson. I can touch Bronson. Granted, he doesn't like it, but he lets me touch him. If I try to touch one of these white turkeys, it's like, get away from me. It's like Lee when it comes to love. Don't touch me. I don't want you touching me. They constantly start fights, and they're not as sweet as the Narcisets. I have 2 Narcisets, and the Narcisets tiff. Bronson tiffs. Bronson is a bronze-breasted, single-breasted. But I think these guys are much prettier, even when their tail feathers his tail feathers aren't. His tail feathers look good. And you see he's got a new layer of tail feathers coming in. His new feathers are coming in. Bronson, where are you at? And Bronson's just starting to get some, maybe not. I don't see bands on those, so those aren't new tail feathers. Those are just lower feathers. So, but yeah, he's starting to get all new tail feathers coming in. But these guys are super sweet. They're pretty. But when you have dirt and mud, the white turkey feathers don't stay white and clean. And granted, these guys look extra. You look extra bad. His tail feathers completely gone too. And it's because it's been breeding season. They just finished with breeding season. All of my girls are sitting on nests except for Wanda. Wanda's just started laying again, so I'm assuming she's probably going to go broody in the goat's pen, because that seems to be where she keeps going to lay her eggs, is inside the goat's pen. So I think she's no, she's not perched over there. I don't know where she's perched, but she's right up there. She's on top of the chicken coop. So the turkeys, I suggest, they're great. Maybe not so many toms, because they do tiff. My geese and the guineas do break up the fights when we have them. And it's really fascinating to watch the flock dynamic out here between the ducks, the geese, the guineas, the turkeys, and the chickens, because they do police each other. And it's really fascinating to watch the way that the dynamic works out here, because I don't have big, massive, bloody brawls out here between all of the animals. I mean, roosters, I've got at least 30 to 40 roosters out here. I have way too many roosters. I need to get rid of roosters. I keep saying I need to get rid of roosters. I don't have the heart to kill my roosters. Not only that, I have not raised them to be meat birds, so it's not like, I would be getting a whole bunch of meat. I have offered them up to people that wanted them. They say they would take them, and then they never show up to pick up. So I've kind of lost faith on the whole marketplace and Facebook page on trying to find homes for roosters. I'm not going to be driving to Sealy with a bunch of roosters in boxes and then the people not show up. It's ridiculous. So my guineas, I actually like the guineas. Yes, they can be loud, but I'll tell you what, if there is a cat walking down the road or a dog walking down the road, they will stand at the fence and scream at them. They scare cats away all the time, and cats would come in and kill my small chickens. I have a lot of bantams out here, and I do have bantams running with regular sized chickens out here, and if it wasn't for the guineas screaming at the cats, I'm sure the cats would come in here and kill some of my birds. The guineas will roost up in the trees. My chickens all roost, a lot of my chickens. Woo, sister! Oh, hi! I know who you are. You're uh-oh. You're uh-oh. You can see, I mean, he's up here being, well, I guess you really can't see. It's so dark. There we go. Uh-oh's up there. And there's one of my buff Polish. So anyway, I have bantams running with regular sized chickens. For the most part, I don't have any issues. But yeah. So that is my thoughts on things that you should know. I'm sure there's a lot more, and I will add to this and in future videos. So you have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, see you then.